Welcome, Falcon Nation, to another edition of In the Spotlight. Here we are with senior defenseman Brian Moore of your Bowling Green State University Falcon hockey team. And Brian, just want to get to know you a little bit behind the mask, and what really got you into the sport of hockey to begin with?
I was about 3 years old and kind of restless, and there was really no sports for a 3-year-old, so my mom actually started me up with skating lessons, and the instructor suggested I play hockey, and kind of just went from there. So,
when you first started playing hockey, what really turned you onto the sport that made you want to think this is what you wanted to do later on in life?
Well, I mean, obviously the game was exciting in itself, the way it was played, the speed of it and all. I think one of the things that really intrigued me about the sport was being from Carmel, Indiana, where the sport really isn't very popular. It was always, kind of a little badge of pride just to be playing a sport that wasn't really commonly played. Most kids played baseball and basketball, obviously, but playing hockey kind of was just the unique thing that I really enjoyed.
And all through your youth hockey career, and even going into juniors, do you have a favorite memory that you collected along the way?
I mean, there's so many memories. Fortunately, I've been blessed to play a long time, and I've had a lot of great memories. juniors, been on a pretty successful team out in Bozeman, Montana. That was a lot of fun. And high school, playing on a state championship hockey team, and so that was good. So it was really hard to pinpoint really one, but I think the coolest part growing up about hockey was the travel. Since it really did require a lot of traveling, went to Canada and stuff like that, and as a kid coming to school and telling kids that you got to go to Canada or Quebec or anywhere in the States, it was a really neat thing. So,
talking about those travels, Brian, you've done some mission work that I'm sure you're very proud of out in Haiti and Columbia, and I don't want to pour it all on you at once, but just talk about maybe one of the missions at a time and what they mean to you, what you did on them.
Yeah, well, I'm involved in a campus ministry here at BGSU. It's student-led, and we did a lot of kind of service work. We went to the jails to visit with the inmates, and I really enjoyed that, and I thought how neat it would be to really to go on a mission trip in a foreign country, especially a third world country. So kind of looked around and prayed about it and stuff, and found Active Christians Today at a kind of a ministry here on campus. They go to Haiti twice every summer, and I was fortunate enough to raise money to go on the trip, and it was actually, when I went to Haiti, it was during a kind of a food crisis, so there were a lot of riots and whatnot. So it was pretty intense experience. There were a lot of UN soldiers there and military personnel, so it was intense, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, the kids were great, and then that was after my sophomore year, and then last summer I was again able to raise money to go to Cartagena, Columbia, and basically do the same type of thing, just missions work, doing a lot of service work, food giveaways. We did a high glass clinic, stuff like that, and I did it with a church that actually my parents go to. So, I've just been blessed to really have the opportunity to do that and kind of see the rest of the world, and then kind of experience these really unique countries and learn these really interesting things about other people, and other cultures. So,
I'm sure that Haiti and Colombia are two very, very different places from that of the United States and North America. What was the most shocking thing that you got to experience when you went down those ways?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like I tell people this all the time, leaving those places, especially Haiti, the thing that really changed in my mind was my perception of food. In America, it's really everyone. It's not a question. You don't go out. You don't go like a day without eating 3 meals a day. Really, I mean. And in those countries, it's like how blessed you are to have one, and here it's how dare I not have 3. And so it was just, I've never seen people toil over food, and I've never had to, and seen people kind of struggle and worry so much about where their next meal's coming, I think was the biggest thing. And but what was really neat is, even though it was a poverty-stricken nation, I mean, Haiti's the second poorest country in the world, next to Somalia, and I think what was neat was seeing the people's faith there, and there were still a lot of them were very, very enthused just about living every day, and it was it was encouraging to me, who's sometimes gets bogged down with schoolwork and stuff like that, and it just makes you realize that some of the things that I worry about and that we worry about as a culture are pretty petty. So, but it was neat.
How were you received when you went down there? Did they welcome you with any kind of open arms or any festivities?
Yeah, I think, in Haiti, especially, we went to an orphanage, and we stayed there the whole time. We really served the orphanage, and the kids, I mean, from day one, like right when we walked onto the compound, they were hanging all over us. I mean, just crawling all over us and wanting to, arm wrestle. Like it was really, I mean, they were so forthcoming, more so than American kids, and they were very, very open, welcome. In some instances, though, when we would leave the compound and we went to do some stuff in these villages outside of town, it wasn't, I've never been a minority anywhere in the world, and being a minority in a country that's entirely black, and being it was very it was an interesting experience, and I think there were some kids there, especially some little kids that had never seen a white person before, and when they saw me and some of the other missionaries, they kind of screaming bloody murder, pretty freaked out. So that was it was weird, it was intense, but they were great. Everyone was great there. I mean, just a lot of big hearts. So
an interesting experience for all. Again, this is Brian Moore, senior defenseman of your BGSU hockey team. Brian, how long did you get to spend down in each of those places before you had to come back to the States?
I think Haiti was like 10 or 11 days, I think, including travel and everything. And in Columbia it was like 8. And so it was. Columbia was again, it's another country that's third world, but what's kind of unique about Columbia is there is kind of a huge dichotomy between the haves and the have-nots. I mean, in Haiti, it's like pretty much top to bottom. There's not many people that really have much, and in Columbia there are some people that are very affluent and wealthy, and then there's the total polar opposite. So that was very unique. So.
And last question about your work over in the overseas, Brian. Does this have any kind of future ramifications for you? You're going to be doing this in the future, or maybe lead into what your possible career could be?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always been fascinated with law, and I'm a business pre-law major, and one day I want to be an international lawyer. I mean, international law has always appealed to me, and so I think it would be really neat to kind of work for the State Department or the UN or something along those lines. So yeah, definitely, that's what I want to do.
All right, now we're going to take a look into your hobbies there, Brian. And a lot of sports fans especially collect a lot of memorabilia from their favorite sports teams. And was just wondering, do you have any memorabilia that's close to you and you keep personally?
I have. I really don't have any kind of. I have memorabilia from when, I've got in my room at home. I've got a huge case with all these trophies and stuff. And I think when we were little, you used to trade pins with other teams, so that was always neat. As far as, I really don't have too much, got a lot of Colts stuff. I'm a big Colts fan, being from Indianapolis. So other than that, nothing particular. So.
Now you mentioned out in Carmel, Indiana, where you're originally from, that a lot of kids played football, baseball, and other sports. Did you get to play in any of these, or did you think about playing in one that interested you?
Yeah. No, I played football actually pretty much all throughout high school until I left to go play juniors. And I was pretty successful in football, and at a time I was almost contemplating focusing on football, but my love was in hockey, and I wanted to play hockey. But I played football in high school and hockey, and then growing up I also played baseball. So it was just in the winter this was my thing to do, and playing hockey, and it kind of set me apart, and it was a lot of fun.
A lot of music gets a lot of guys pumped up for every game, and so I got to ask you, what's on your iPod, or what music gets you pumped up before every game or practice? I just really listen to what's being played in the locker room. I don't bring in my iPod or anything like that because I don't know, it's just my thing. I don't like dealing with too much as far as personal items during on a game day. Kind of just like to keep my mind on the game. So I really I just listen to what's being played, and so I'd have to say probably like POD or something like that really would get me going. But for the most part, I really just try to tune out the music as much as I can, just kind of visualize the game and focus on that. All right, Brian, and lastly, what's the best part about being a Falcon?
But I would say the tradition. I think it's really cool knowing that you're part of a program that does have a pretty immense tradition, and on top of it, I think we have a group of guys that really click and get along and mesh, and we're close knit. So I think that's one of the things that I'll take away with it, being a Falcon. So.
All right, Falcon Nation, this has been Inside the Spotlight with senior defenseman of your BGSU hockey team, Brian Moore.